Good morning, grade 9s, and welcome back to Quarantine English with Mr. Fouché. So in the previous lesson, I gave you two activities to complete. The one was a diary entry, and the other was an activity on an article about a Comrades winner who was found to be cheating. It was a little comprehension test. This was activity 6 on page 83. Now, we cannot really mark the diary entry until I see what you wrote down, but we can mark activity 6. So that's the first thing we'll be doing today, and after that we'll start with the activities I have planned for today. Activity 6 is on page 83, so you can open up your textbooks there. Then you've got the questions in front of you as well. I will read them to you as well, just in case you don't have your textbook with you. So here we go, question 1. What is the figurative meaning of each of the following expressions? Remember, literal meaning means something actually happening. You mean exactly what you say. Figurative, you are saying one thing but meaning something else. So, to stand firm, that means you're not deviating from what you said. Okay. If you had to say that literally, it means you would stand as firm as possible. Okay. B, to track down, that is to find someone. And C, the center of attention, that means you are the focus of something. Center of a storm. So you are the focus of a problem. 2. What do you think would be the abbreviation for the South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport in paragraph 2? It's actually here, and it is SAIDFS. I'll repeat it. SAIDFS. And apparently, because in B they say it is an acronym. Now, if you know what acronyms are, it's when you take the first letter of a series of words and you put them together, you shorten the entire name of something. An acronym is a word you can say where initialism, it's the same thing, but it doesn't create a word that you can say. So apparently you can say SAIDFS, I guess. I'm not sure. But yes, it is an acronym. And now we can continue on to 3. Why is the word poisoned written in inverted commas? Now, it's actually meant in a figurative way, and this is the answer. It is meant figuratively. The person who is saying this doesn't think that actual poison was used. What they mean is that someone tampered with the results. Okay, trying to say that it is not their fault that he had these drugs in his system. We get on to question 4. Explain the reasons for using the apostrophe in, and then you've got A to D. Now you might remember from previous lessons, only 2 reasons exist for the use of the apostrophe. The first one is for omission. So if you've got a word like cannot and you want to omit some of those words, it becomes can't. But then you have to add an apostrophe in order to show that something has been omitted. Used for contractions, basically. Then it is also used for possession, which is the second reason. Also the only reason that you are allowed to use the apostrophe. In your writing, of course. So let's do A first. It's can't. And again, I just use that as an example. It is actually cannot, therefore omission would be your answer. Mama bolos. In this case, something belongs to this person. So it is possession. C, couldn't. Here, we've got omission. It's actually could not. And D, doesn't. Again, omission, because something has been left out to shorten it. Now, we get to question 5. And question 5 asks you to rewrite, which paragraph is it again? The last paragraph. And you have to replace all the pronouns with proper nouns. So pronouns are words like he, she, it, and as you know, proper nouns are names. So what they are doing here is they are actually asking you to write it in a very mundane, actually very horrible way. But I'll read the answer and you'll see what I mean. Okay. So here we go. Mama Bolo is okay. Mama Bolo doesn't feel guilty. Mama Bolo told Mama Bolo's family not to worry, as Mama Bolo has nothing to hide. No one in this community ever thinks Mama Bolo can ever do something like that. So yes, you can hear it doesn't sound correct, and the reason is there are no pronouns. If you have to keep referring to people by their name every single time you mention them, it does start to sound a little bit bad when you talk. And when you write as well, it doesn't look good either. So this activity just shows you use your pronouns. And then the last question, 6. What generalization does the writer make in the last paragraph? So here we've got the answer as, he says that nobody in the community thinks that Mama Bolo would take performance-enhancing drugs. He cannot possibly know what every member of the community is thinking. So yes, saying that everyone does this or everyone thinks that is a generalization. You don't really know what these people, everyone, is thinking or doing. So saying that they are all doing that is you, in a way, exaggerating it. You don't really know this. You know it's a trend perhaps, but it is not something that you know. So you are generalizing. Now we can continue to our activity 10, page 86. This is the first activity we'll do. There's another one that we'll do as well, and then we'll be done with the lesson. Now, this activity focuses on reported speech. We did quite a few lessons on reported speech, so I hope you are up to date with it. As you know, it's on page 86, and it will require us to go back into the book to find the original text in order to see what's going on. So the question reads as follows. Okay, page 86. Here we go. Complete the indirect speech. See paragraph 3, classroom activity 8. That's where we'll go now. Below by providing a word for each space. Okay, so most of these spaces tend to be pronouns that we'll be changing, but not all of them. So we have to go back to classroom activity 8, which is on page, make sure here, 84. This is not an activity that we did, but we do need this little text in order to see the original direct speech. So I'll quickly read it to you. Here we go. Did I have it? Yes, here we go. So Setalane, that's one of our characters, says the following. This is her direct words. I will be your wife and make bread and beer for you every day, but you must never call me the daughter of an ostrich egg. Very fascinating. So now we have to make this indirect. Now some of you might have noticed there's a little bit of a loophole here. You might remember there are 3 rules to doing reported speech. The first one is to always go back a tense. The second one is pronouns are going to change all the time, and then also time and place words might change, except if your reporting verb is in the present tense. And in this activity, they do not give you a reporting verb. So if you wanted to be sneaky, you could just stay in the same tense and just change the pronouns. But let's do it as if it was past tense, or the past tense was used for our reporting verb, then all 3 rules will apply. So, I did take the liberty of writing the entire thing down here, and we've got the spaces. So let's see if we can fill in each of them. So, the woman told Setalane that. Now we get to the first one. It is she would be. Okay, so the pronoun here has changed. She would be, and now his wife. Okay, so she would be his wife. Remember, my pronouns need to change. I can't use I or you for this case because those people are not talking. We are talking about them. So the pronouns need to change. That rule will always apply, even if my reporting verb is in the present tense. So that she would be his wife, and that she would. Will, because it's going to past, so this is will. If I want to make it and I report this verb, auxiliary verb, it becomes would. Okay, try and remember this one. I have noticed many of you leave out will. So that she would. Make bread and beer for, and the pronoun him, not you. him. Every day, but he. Okay, remember we're still talking about what Setelane should do. So it's he should never call, and he's referring to her, the daughter of an ostrich egg, even if he and is was used in the original text, was should be used here, because we are going one step into the past. Drunk, for then all would be over. Okay. Again, will is going to change to would. So let's go through it one more time. I'll just quickly show you why everything changes. I'm not going to, let's just explain the two things that are applied here. As you might have noticed, there are no time or place words, so they cannot change because they do not exist here. We do have pronouns, and we do have tenses that change. So we have gone from our normal tenses into the perfect tenses here. One step back. So will became would. All of my pronouns, like I, became someone else, which is she. Sometimes we are referring to the male, which seems to be Setelane. Okay, so pronouns have changed and my tenses have changed. I hope you guys still remember reported speech. Then this would have been quite an easy activity. Now, there is a second question in this activity. And they ask us to make something into direct speech. So let's quickly have a look at that one. Now, number 2 asks the following: complete the direct speech by providing a word for each space. You will see there are 2 spaces there, and it says, Setelane said, I promise that. Then we've got 2 spaces, never do such an outrageous thing. Now, here, she's talking about something that she will be doing. So, I promise that I will. Okay, so I will is the correct use here. So I'll read the entire sentence to you. It is Setelane said, I promise that I will never do such an outrageous thing. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now, we are going to do classroom activity 11. Okay, so 11 on the same page. You don't have to worry about that. It's on the same page and it's not too big of an activity. We should be done quite quickly. So, write down the prefix and or suffix of each of the following words. Okay, so let's quickly write these down for you so you can see what they are. First of all, let's explain them. So, root. Okay, so prefixes, roots, and suffixes. The root is, think of it as the core part of a word. You can't divide it any further. It is the main meaning of something. Okay? Prefix, these are little things you add in front of a word in order to change its meaning in a slight way. Then a suffix, same thing, but here I'm adding it to the end of a word. So this, in the front or just before the word, there's your actual word, its core value, and the suffix is something you add after the word. Okay, so let's do some examples in this activity so you can see what I'm talking about. So, write down prefix, suffix of the following words. The first one is brood. Okay, let's quickly write them down, all of them. So we've got brood as number 1. Then we've got exclaimed. Next, surrounded. Presented. Drinking. And angrily. Ooh. Angrily. Okay, so there are all of our examples that we'll be using. Now what you can do here You can underline the prefix, suffix, and the root, but what you would have to do is leave a little space above the word so you can write down root, suffix, prefix, and so on. If you want to, next to the word, write down what the prefix, root, or the suffix is, that is also fine. Any way that you can identify each of those terms is fine. Obviously, you can do this in your book. I hope you guys are doing these activities in your normal working books that you've got. So let's quickly have a look here. The root of brood is brew. That is the core value of this word. It means to make something in this sense. Now we do have a suffix in this word, which is ed. So you can write down there, it's the suffix, this is the root. Okay, so as you can see, many times when we change tenses, a suffix will be added to the verb, especially, well, all the time when it's a regular verb. Then you add ed. Another very common one, also to do with tenses, is ing, which indicates continuous tense. But let's continue on. We've got exclaimed here. In exclaimed, we've got the root word. We've got a prefix and a suffix. Okay, so I'll just write it down here. That's the prefix, the root, and the suffix. I'll just use the shortened versions of that in order to save some space because I don't have as much space. Now we get to surrounded. Okay, so to surround is your root word. Okay, and then we add ed once again in order to show past tense, something that has already happened. It is my suffix. Presented, it's very similar. We've got the root word, which is present, and then ed is added, which makes that the suffix. Drinking, same thing. To drink is my root word. And then we've got the suffix ing, which shows continuous tense. And lastly, we've got angrily, which is quite a strange one because technically angry would be your core word. You don't have a word like angr, okay? So if you had to write down the root word here, it would be anger. But the suffix here is here, but you would write it down like this. Okay, so ly is the more commonly used suffix in English. ily is not really commonly used as one, so you just add the I there in brackets. Okay, and that is all we are doing for today, grade 9s. I'm not going to give you any homework. Since you guys are receiving tasks now on a regular basis, I think that counts as homework to me. So do not worry, I'm not going to be giving you more work on these lessons. And thank you very much for tuning in to English today, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.